Hello, welcome to the Honest Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob, the partner of Twitch. Just give me one more day for it. That's all I want. And I'm joined by Mr. John. He does all the emoji scrivens. Hey, John, how are you?
Hello. Today I'm your partner in crime.
Nice. That works.
There we go.
Works.
I've not been holding on to that one for days. Shut up.
Hello, everyone. Tristan, there's a blizzard and I'm shoveling snow and clearing my car. I love Canada. Big love to you. Hello to everyone on the Twitch chat. Sorry again. What a lovely fella. Borneo Manchow, Tom Dix, both angels. Dan Don't, morning. Cinderfall Gaming. Great work on modding those Facebook pages. Jesus. Militant Snowflake. Hello. Joe PLC. I love seeing you every day. Warhammer Rob. I hope the kids are well. I love your printing. Sergeant Rolf. Yes. You're a captain in my world. Hot Sauce Teddy. What up? Ty Winning. Podcast Bros. I'm going to Fred, John, Pete, and Paul. Thanks for listening to the podcast, as well as Frank and Tim. I reckon I've given some real fucking easy male names there, John. So a couple of guys were like, "Is he talking about me? Is he talking about?"
For a second, I thought you'd actually done some homework. No, calm down, guys.
The Hydro Homies, make yourself known on Twitter or Facebook. There's no way for me to know your name unless you want to leave us a review. Over on the podcast apps, and if you do that, then I'll be able to shout you out, which would be nice. Scrivo looking like one of the kids from Stranger Things, slightly grown up. John, sing the song. Sing the song. Have you seen Stranger Things?
Yes, but also that's not from Stranger Things, that song.
The song is from Stranger Things now, and sing the song, damn it. How dare you?
I don't know the words, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry.
Hey, Colonel Cabbage. So today we're going to talk about the predictions for the reveal stream tomorrow. John reckons he's clairvoyant and can guess it. While we're doing that, I'm painting up this piece of terrain. This is my first reveal of the crystal board that we're doing.
Fantastic.
So yeah, this is as you guys can see here, it's based, which is nice. And then so I'm really looking forward to painting this up. I bought one of those spray cans from the local shop, John. And
the graffiti ones.
Graffiti one, and then I'm just spraying over the top of it. I use that as like a base spray. I'm not sure if I might. I'm painting this now. I'm not certain if I'm not just going to go back and get a color that matches the table more. I thought this one, like I eyeballed it, and I thought this color would match, but it's way too kind of pink red, and it needs to be kind of like a dark rich purple to match the matte. Color matching the terrain with the matte is probably going to be the hardest thing for me over the next couple of weeks. Just because, like,
it's not just as simple as a purple, right? It's a tone of purple, for example.
Yeah.
If you do like a really bluey purple and the matte's a reddy purple, it's just going to look weird on it.
Yeah. And also, like, and I think so. If you guys just for clarity, after the kind of terrain conversation yesterday, as you guys can see, beautiful piece of terrain, and you 100% could have just left it non-based. But obviously, the base does two things. One, it gives me kind of an area, and I am maybe going to cut it down from being a square and make it more rounded. So that's kind of like a future conversation. However, the main point really is that I'll be able to color match the bottom really well, if that makes sense, because I make a gradient on the edge of the piece of terrain. I'll be able to color match it right into the board. So even if, like in this situation, the crystals and the crystals on the mat kind of make sense together, so I wouldn't necessarily have to base it. It's kind of my system now. Whereas a building, like be it on a grassy land or a snow land or whatever, obviously I think putting on a base means you can kind of like tie it into the mat, which is kind of the key feature, I think.
And it also protects the terrain. That's the thing that I learned as a kid, was if you make your own bit of terrain and then you don't put it on some basing, every time you put it on a table, you're chipping the bottom of it.
Yeah. Anyway, right. So, John, quick catch up with how you are. You well?
I'm good. I'm feeling better than I was on Wednesday night. I had a fever because I'd had my jab, so I was being a bit of a pussy and melting down and falling apart. But I feel like I've been reforged now. I'm a Stormcast. I've probably got less humanity. Not that there was much to go around to start with, but there we go.
Okay, good on you getting your vaccine. Good work. Still waiting to find out when mine's coming. But hopefully soon as, and I'll be rushing in. I have heard that you get a bit of a hangover the day after, generally from people
so it'll be your first hangover.
Yeah. Uh, hey Dude Our Day, thank you for resubscribing for 40 months. If you guys have just subscribed on Twitch, there is, by the way, in the chat, thanks to John, some new emojis. What have we got today? What are our new ones? We have a giant list that which John is smashing through. 500 Point Stomper, I'm a big fan of. Stonks. Oh, but that's only a level 2 one. Sorry about that, lads. But yeah. Oh, and there's also Good Guy, Good List. Or is it Great Guy, Great List?
Great Guy, Great List.
Oh, there's a question coming in the chat. John, what's on the shelf in the background there?
Which shelf? Which shelf? That's the question. There's
A lot.
12 shelves.
So if anyone isn't really aware, John is like a true meta chaser. He's like that guy. Always chasing the meta. First it was competitive orcs when the orc book dropped. Now it's... What are you currently painting up? Dark Angels and Drukhari, John?
And Khorne Berserkers.
Yeah, sure.
I'm ahead of that meta, perhaps. I don't know. Oh, and I've got Sisters of Battle as well. So I've got the Christmas box they did for them, like the launch box, still in undercoat, because apparently they're really good as well. So I've put them in the cabinet to remind me that I need to chase as much as possible.
No, there's a question. No, what is the shelf? Like, is it a Malm?
This is a Kallax. A Malm
Kallax.
is it's more of a racking material one. Like this is a Kallax with the additional cabinet things, so that I've got the glass fronts to it.
So if anyone isn't aware, over here in the UK and probably most of the world, you really just talk about furniture in IKEA standard, I guess. Yeah. I guess it's like you always need a unit of measurement in anything, right? Like bedding has togs, you've got Celsius, and I guess now IKEA is our way of like really talking about background stuff.
Yes. And it's like, you don't go, I bought this nice sofa, and you go, where'd you get it from? It's like, oh, that's a nice IKEA, and then someone says the exact type, because everyone's got the same one, it seems.
That's it. That's that homogeny working for us. Anyway, so, but my question is to you, John, you think that you nailed the preview next week. If you guys aren't aware, Podcast Bros, and Twitch Bros, and anyone Bros, YouTube Bros, last week? Last time.
Last month it was roughly, wasn't it?
Yeah. There was another reveal. Tomorrow there is a Games Workshop reveal stream. We're going to get something from every game system, apparently.
Well, 4 systems, isn't it?
4 systems, yeah. 4 systems. I honestly didn't know there were more than 2 systems, if I'm real.
Well, this might shock you, Rob, but they're including in those 4 systems Warhammer Underworlds, which is basically, let's test out some Age of Sigmar models and make it into a game. But not really.
Let's get them to pay us for R&D. Let's do that. Let's do that.
It's like model testing. It's like, do these ones sell? Do they look kind of cool?
Shall we go along this line? Is this a new, let's launch this as a product?
I bought so many Underworlds warbands, so I'm just as guilty as everyone else.
Man.
Exactly. I was like, I'm going to paint them all.
Not. Honestly, I'd rather spend 30 quid on Underworld's Warband. They're not even that much versus...
They're 25 quid for the newest ones. So when you get 4 or 5 models for that sort of price, comparative to a lot of their current pricing, that's actually quite reasonable.
I think it's reasonable. I think it's also like a nice selection of models to paint. I think it's great. Yeah. I'm really involved with that.
Solid if you want to do some RPG stuff as well. That's the way I saw it. It's like if you're playing D&D or something, they just work as good character models.
What is your favourite one, John? What's your favourite warband? Twitch chat, same question. Mine's Mollog, by the way. I don't think they've done anything as good as Mollog's. Oh, John, have you frozen? Twitch chat, you still there? Oh, no. Zarbag Skits? We're here. John's paused on an amazing picture. Can we talk about that? He's moved.
Oh, wow. That's hilarious, because I can still see the chat going, but I just couldn't hear your video. That's weird.
Okay. Hey, John. What's your favourite?
Zarbag Skits, 100%. Plastic Squigs. Seeing the new Plastic Squigs, I was like, cool, they're coming. I think for the kind of uniqueness, I really like the Kernothi, though. Like the whole centaur thing. I really dig that as a thing, because then it's like, hey, look, we've fixed high elves now. It's not just wood elves. It's not just elves in the woods. I thought that's a nice way of kind of going. I want to see what they do with that, though.
I think the Kernothi are very exciting. my proclivity for Centaur ladies to the side for a moment.
I know, right?
I think. I mean, I think genuinely Centaurs are like a very cool kind of like race. It's like Dragonkin. I think that's one of the really exciting things about Age of Sigmar and removing themselves from the old world that was, is like they can explore. Like, we can have Dragonkin, which I would kind of expect at some point, John. Like, which would be like,
yeah.
Like, I know we already have Saurus and we already have Seraphon. So like they
don't quite fit into the Dragonborn D&D aesthetic, do they? They're not like knightly or fire-breathing kind of. They're not dragons. They're lizards, and that's quite a big distinction, really.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, and I would like to see that, but they can explore it all, right? Like, and yeah. And that's what I like about the Underworld's warbands. And actually, the review show we did with Adam Mumford the other day, where we talked about the warbands, I wouldn't mind seeing things like the Seraphon range condensed down a little bit. And I would like, I quite like the Uruks, the KO, minimal war scrolls, almost everything gets used all the time. And as a collector, you can be like, I've smashed it. I've 100%ed the KO. I've got like I've got one of everything, or I've got loads of everything, and I can collect it. And I would more prefer to see them do factions like that, and then have sub-faction rules so you can play them differently, or paint them differently, or theme them differently, than I need a whole different theme of army. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm in the middle with that. I'd like a little bit more than those two. Like the way that Ironjaws look at the moment, there's like I feel they could have a couple more units, and I'd be happy there.
Okay, well they are the army with the least, so I can.
Yeah, so then compared to say 40k orcs, where you have so many different units that all do very specific things, it feels a bit much. So somewhere in the middle is kind of where I'd like to be, where it doesn't feel overwhelming.
So what number would you put that at? Like, you can't, like, so, I mean, because, like, fucking hell, how many units are even available to 40k orcs? We should do that as
Too many. That's the thing. It's like you look at it and they each do very different specific things. And then
they all do the same thing.
Well, they do badly shooting or badly hit things. There you go.
Definitely all badly survive.
But very expensive because of the potential that they could roll lots of sixes.
Yeah. I can never play Stormcast because the War Scroll overload with constant anxiety. Hot Sauce Teddy, even if 95% of the scrolls are shit. That's a solid point. Yeah. I think also for new people, it's also like intimidating as well. It's like, what Stormcast you want? Like, man, I don't know. Like, do you know what I mean? And surely that's a true thing for the Marines as well, John? Like, I feel like
that put me off Stormcast. In fact, I was just like, I was doing Sacrosanct, and then I was like, if I start dipping onto the other ones, and I was like, but this is going against the theme I'm going with, and then it's this whole thing of like, this doesn't. It was too much. It was too much to kind of get your head around, especially as a new player, because I was essentially a new player. I knew a lot about the game, but not practically, not something I played lots of.
Yeah. I think I really am kind of like, I actually am pro Games Workshop, like. Making smaller factions and little splash releases. Like, one of the things, I know it was meant to be like a zombie side game, the Gelapox infected one, Blackstone Fortress. Yeah. Like, I get it.
Rogue Trader.
Yeah, I get it. So I get it wasn't meant to be like its own splash release, but I'm really into that. Like, you know, like, I mean, that wasn't quite Codex level. I would love to see them just pushing that envelope more and just make these small little book. Also gives them a chance to sell more books, John.
So the way I like,
if you got 24 models in one range or 2 lots of 12 models in 2 ranges, that's double the books, baby.
Yeah, I think the pace that they did for, say, AdMech is where I like it to be. So it's every sort of 18 months or slightly less, they've done kind of a wave with 4 or 5 kits. So it's not overburdening you.
Because then even then, I've got, I mean, my AdMech, by the way, I am the worst 40k stonks trader. I want everyone to know that. Like, ever. Like, Death Guard, everything I've got painted is the not stuff you take, right? Like, or it's the suboptimal inside the book. It's not bad, it's just suboptimal. Yeah. And then same for AdMech. Same for AdMech. I'm like, everyone's like, you got 35 dogs? And I'm like, no, I don't. They're like, have you got any floaty boaties? And I'm like, no. And they're like, oh, well, fuck you. And I'm like, damn it. Like, so, if Rob buys it, sell. I agree. 40k is not my, like, stonks market. And it's not even because I guess badly. It's just, who would have thought that they would make Terminators so good? Do you know what I mean? Because they've made them very good, John.
I don't think they have made them that good. They're not Deathwing good. They're pretty good.
Oh my god, they're really good. All right, let's ban 40k. Rob, the only player to buy all the Forge World AdMech, hoping to get rules for 40k one day. My guess, 2040. I'm still waiting. I wonder what'll happen first. Dudade stops watching the show and doesn't resubscribe, or I get the AdMech rules for the Forge World stuff, John. Here's hoping.
I don't think you're ever going to get them.
Why? Because, think about it, we haven't had the AdMech book for this edition yet.
Yeah, but they'd be in this book, Rob. This has got every Forge World unit that they currently sell. That is
currently
40K.
that was just their kickoff book. I reckon more books to come.
Are you telling me my £40 Forge World book is not going to stay current for long, Rob?
Let's go on with the reveals. I'm not getting into this conversation. Nick and Tom had enough of that last night.
I watched it back at 2:00 this morning. It was great fun.
They were unhappy, and I think rightly so in a lot of ways.
Yeah, exactly.
I think rightly so. Like I said last night, I think. Anyway, reveals tomorrow. Right. Let's go through the game systems. Twitch chat.
Can we go one step before that?
I really enjoy that the Twitch chat. I've discovered that they could ban books. Ban words, and now it's really hard to stream. Okay, so current words we can't talk about. Tomorrow's announcements from Games Workshop. John, let's go through the different game systems, please.
Can we do one thing before that? The title and the colour choice for the title. So they've gone with Faith and Damnation.
Right.
The Faith is pretty obviously Sisters because they've kind of given us a sneak peek of a tank of some sort.
And also they did the reveal of the mech ladies.
Yeah, so we've already seen that, and there's the Palatine, and I think one of their articles did say that we're going to get more units. So I'm imagining this is going to be a full splash release now. And then Damnation is a pretty wide, kind of all-encompassing thing, but they've previewed on New Model Monday a Redemptionist, which is a Necromunda kind of Imperium Emperor kind of cultist guy, and Necromunda is one of the 4 systems, so I think it's as simple as they're doing them. That's it. I think that's what those two, the 2 bits of the title are kind of linking in, is those 2.
Okay. My brain went. If you just would like to quick sneak peek into my brain as you were talking, this is where my brain went. My brain went, I wonder if you could set up a religion in the 40k universe, but in real life, and then get tax exemption status, and just like the kind of like psycho Christians in America or whatever, get loads of like charity money in and start some sort of like weird real world 40k cult, but also.
So what you're telling me is you want to just be one of those religious cults that stands outside of properties of businesses holding up a sign?
But that's where my brain went. I was like, ah. Anyway,
which is what you've done, Rob. So you're already there.
Anyway, let's go back to where we were.
Right.
This is what I'm keeping my brain.
Yeah.
That's why I wear a hat.
And for Underworlds, they've already previewed one.
Wait, so is that you just moving on from 40k? You think it's going to be Sisters of Battle?
Sisters of Battle.
So do you think? Okay. Question. So Sisters of Battle. Do we think it's going to be a couple of releases, or do we think it's going to be like Lumineth Wave 2? We think it's going to be like 12, 11 or 12 kits, like loads of stuff.
I think it's going to be at most that size.
I think it's going to be that size. I don't think it's going to be like 3 or 4 things. I think it's going to be that size.
Because I feel like the initial release for Sisters was them going, right, here's the current range redone. We've not added anything new other than like making Penitent Engines have mortifiers and stuff, having like the spin-off version of the same kit, and like the Seraphim and the Zephyrim. So it makes sense that they'd finally do some new stuff, because the people that already had metal armies, the few of them that were like, right, I don't need to buy these, I've already got the models, will then buy the new kits of the things that they don't have.
Okay. I think it's going to be a huge release, personally.
Yeah, totally. I think you're right there.
Okay. All of the commentators in the Twitch area. I'm being careful to not use my banned words here.
Oh God! So we can't use the name of the event we're going to be exploring tomorrow.
Yeah, the event we're going to be exploring tomorrow.
Oh gosh, this is terrible.
I'm deleting that as a command that you guys
please
can
do,
use.
because this is almost unreasonable. I struggle to get my words out of the best at times.
Good morning to W. Soren.
Texas. Hello, Texas.
Uh, right. So, what's the next
Stop
game
it.
system, John? What's the next game system?
Right. I'm going to break the rules.
Yeah,
Right. So
fuck.
Underworlds, they've already previewed their kind of roadmap for Underworlds was Seraphon, and then the next one was Bone Reapers, and they've shown a big scary dude with a massive scythe. So I feel like we're just going to see the whole gang there.
I think yeah. So this is Underworld, right? We're just going to
Yeah.
see the okay.
4 or 5
Alright.
models. There's a bowman they've already kind of sneak peeked, and then a guy with a scythe. So I think it also sets up new units for the next wave of Bone Reapers as well.
Yeah, a big shout out to my man Owen
Okay.
Jackson. He pointed out that the guy is a soul mason, and you can tell if you like a bit of like lore.
Oh,
Big shout
that's
out
one
for
of the character guys, isn't it?
Yeah,
There was one in the Feast of Bones box.
the fact that he doesn't have a lower jaw. Yeah, is
Ooh.
because no soul
Jaw
masons
drop.
have lower. They have no lower jaws. Because check this story out. Thanks to Owen for telling me this. Once a soul mason absorbed the soul of an elven mage, and he started like babbling elven spells through it and causing all sorts of catastrophe. So now they have no lower jaws. So no, like if a soul takes over the soul mason, they can't run amok in their own lines, which is fun. Oh, bad Dod. Thank you for subscribing. First time ever. Woohoo!
So that's how you vocalize then, is not through your vocal cords, but through your jaw. Okay.
Well, no, but you can't enunciate without a jaw. You can't.
It's a tongue's actually more impactful.
It's
It's removing the tongue as well. Yeah. Yeah, it's removing the tongue as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. I'm just thinking it through. I'm doing what you did, Rob, with the religion thing. Just like my brain goes to kind of the anatomy of a skeletal dude.
La 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 la.
Oh, God. Can you please remove that?
Yeah, I'm gonna remove that. I'm gonna remove that as a chat because the chat are nightmares, and I can't deal with them for the next 14 hours over the weekend. It's gonna be Bad Dodd, by the way, for resubscribing or for subscribing the first time. You got loads of new emotes. Thanks to John, including these are my two most recent favourites. I'm gonna just do these. Dudley F asks a great question actually, because that's one of the things that I was. So John, do you know the lore behind the Osearchs and that they collect a bone tie?
Really?
So they collect a bone
yes,
tie.
I saw that bit. That's the bit I do. That's probably the one broad strokes bit I do know.
Yeah, so they collect a bone tie. So specifically, everything they have is bone. Yeah, they don't have like flesh capes, and there's very few examples of like fleshy bits on them generally.
Yeah.
One of the things, and they knit the bone together. That's how it all works. The flesh cape, I think, is actually like a very interesting touch. I think Catacross has got some flesh elements on him as well, like skin, like torn skin. But I just thought it was like a nice design piece.
It then shows a difference between them and the flesh eater courts, which are all fleshy and sinewy. So it's kind of like giving them very definitive kind of design, kind of aesthetics.
It's got some real like design aesthetics from like Mozambique. The area around there is really where like it's. I feel anyway. Math Mallow, thank you for resubscribing. Tier 2, which means Math Mallow is able to use all the fancy emotes. Feel free to show them off in the chat, Math Mallow. Thank you very much.
Just not Tory Rob, because that's the rich boys one. That's even richer than me.
Yeah, that's the richest. Hey Gus the Hut. You get to use. What do you get to use? No one else gets to use Stonks emote.
Stonks and the
I hate it, by the way.
Poggers.
I hate that.
Hey, you're the one that made the list, Rob. I'm just sticking to your list. Don't try to make it sound like you're not the shill, the money-grabbing shill that you are, Rob.
I know, but I hate
look,
it.
Tory Rob's in the chat. Yes,
yes, Tory Rob. Yes, Matt Mello. Stonks. And MJ's got the good one too. All right. So after Underworlds, what we got?
Then we got Age of Sigmar, which is a bit of a weird one, right? Because they've previewed
Zombies.
Tetris is the next Broken Realms book. They then previewed number 3, which is going to be Be'lakor. But they're also, those zombies look like the Cursed City ones, but not quite as over the top. It's like a silhouette where they look like they've got like roots or something wiggling out of them. So maybe that's just the general Gravelords zombies replacement kit. Because I think the
it's
zombies
a zombies
kit
kit.
is because zombies are. I think they came out in '99.
Yeah.
I bought them when I was playing Mordheim. That's how old they are, Rob. I've
The
gone through puberty since that kit can drink in the UK, and it's still in their top 100 kits. What does that say about everyone?
is
We're all
it
still
still in the
buying
top
them.
100
Apparently.
kits?
It's still in the stockist range, mate. It's mad.
Really? So explain the stockist range to me, please.
So it's essentially 100 products that you get told this is our big sellers. You have to stock it, and then you get basically if you keep that constantly in stock. So once a month you have to restock it. You then get a marketing budget as a result that you can spend on stuff to do in store. So and then if any of it gets removed from that range, you get credited for it. So you get basically a way of you're kind of rewarded for at least having a core range.
Okay, all right, that makes sense. So thoughts, Twitch chat, and also John about the zombies. So I don't like the zombies from the upcoming Warhammer Quest, Curse City. I know. How dare I say I don't like a new model coming from Games Workshop? But do you know what? It's Friday. I'll throw caution to the wind. Yeah, I don't like them. I think I understand. Like, it's a quite cool theme that they're staked so they can't turn into vampires. It's a cool idea, but imagine. I hope that isn't the upcoming zombie kit. Right?
It looks like there's less to it. My issue with it is the gravestone on the top feels like a bit too much. I think if they were just zombies with a massive bit of wood through them, or like a stake that you could notably see through, cool. The minute you add in like there's a gravestone on the top and then half of the actual grave itself, it becomes a bit silly.
Yeah, I would say that seems fair. Thank you to Gus the Hut for donating 100 bits to the show. I appreciate that. We need a salty Rob emote. Why, dear? You've just got a Rob emote. It's the same thing. What's
Guys,
the difference between these two
you,
pictures? They're the same.
It's so hard to draw a salty Rob emote because salt's a really bad thing to draw at small scale, guys.
So are we wanting? This is one of the biggest things that I think we talk about representation a lot in the hobby, John. Yeah. Right. It's an important subject. It's close to my heart. It's something I believe in a lot and something I would like to help promote inside the community. But God damn it, John! If we don't need some representation in zombies, we need some dead humans. We need some dead elves. We need some dead dwarves. We need dead everything, right? We need some dead
and mixed
Uruks.
genders as well, like and different body shapes. I know that zombies essentially do just atrophy and become really shriveled and stuff, but there's still going to be that the flesh is still there hanging. So like you get fat zombies that are just getting gaunt in specific places and then things hanging in really like unsettling ways, and that level of body horror is quite fun to see in this sort of thing. It's an opportunity missed, and they do that really well in like the Nurgle stuff.
They do.
So maybe that's why they're not touching on that, is so that they don't look confusing, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, Bad Dot says don't need anything fancy, just give us shambling dead peasants. I mean, you could, 100%, and they'll look if they just do regular townsfolk. But the thing about the Mortal Realms is the townsfolk are all very different, right? Like, we're not getting the East German. Oh, we got a hype train! Woohoo! Thanks, guys. Don't know what we got. What do we get? Level one hype train. Yeah, let's use some emotes from that.
If all the cities have got a bit of everything in it, like even they'll even have Uruks in some situations, why isn't there going to be zombie Uruks? Wouldn't everyone love that? I know I would.
Yeah, well, that's my point about the like again, the setting for Age of Sigmar is such an exciting place. You can have Uruks, and you can be like, these are light Uruks. These are because we've really only got Uruks from the realm of beasts. I know those Uruks exist everywhere, but you haven't got like
we've not seen them as models, have we?
No, and so Uruks from the realm of metal, so they're covered in fucking I don't know, something awesome, and then Uruks from the realm of shadow, so they're all mystical and they raid villages and they kidnap people and they're more clever and mysterious and smart. That would be cool. And then from the realm of fire, so obviously they live on a volcano or in a volcano. That's what the realm of fire, and they're ginger, super important.
So Dudley F has said, would zombie Uruks fit on a 25mm base? Well, that's the opportunity for the sculptor to have some fun. If it's only half of an Uruk because half of it's rotted away and fallen off, it takes up less of a space for a base.
Also, because of how I'm going to propose something here. We already have units there are examples of units with mixed base sizes. Specifically, the Warcry warbands have different base sizes for different models. So I don't think that you necessarily need... What up, Owen Jackson in the chat? If we could all use our hashtag Owen fans emote in the chat, because Owen is here, please. That would be nice. He's got his own emote. There it is in the chat. Big Owen fans.
He got an emote before I got one. It's heartbreaking. The list doesn't even include one for Scrivo. That's all I'm saying. I don't need one though.
You got to shout out what the crowd want, right? Like
exactly. Got to go where the heart goes.
You got to go where the heart goes.
What the heart wants.
This is Jesus. It requires fans though. Oh wow, John, you need fans. That's rough. You got dogged on in the chat.
Ouch.
Oh, ouch. Anyway, I know that's
man-child. You are now my mortal enemy.
Immortal.
Sorry, Dayton. You've been dethroned.
Right. So back to zombies. Zombies, excited about. I think we're probably going to see at least a bunch of the Gravelords releases. Which is interesting because we still are like. I know we keep talking about it every show, but it's relevant. We're still so behind. When the hell is the tech list one coming out? Let alone Be'lakor, to now know that we're going to get the Gravelord stuff or see some of the Gravelord stuff is pretty wild. I think we won't see much of it. I think we'll see like a trailer video and we'll see some little bits. Because I don't think that they want to shoot all that pre-order hype going into... I don't think they want to shoot all that pre-order hype going into the Lumineth, right? They want as many people buying Lumineth as possible, is my general thoughts. But yeah, I'm excited for it personally. And the fact that they're doing zombies makes me feel like it's going to be a really big range. And that's actually... It also gives you some sort of idea of how the army will generally work as well. Like, we've seen some...
It's staying close enough to the old kind of theme, which is kind of, like, nice, I think.
Yeah, I agree. I think the fact that we're going to get vampires who are still like they're necromantic and they're growing thralls and they're bringing them back from grave sites
and really a hierarchy awesome. As well.
Yeah, I
wouldn't have mind. Are kind of
Go on.
Do you think as well that we would be even getting previews of Gravelords if that vampire with the bat hair had been leaked? Because at the moment, I don't think we would. They'd be focusing us solely on Curse City, whilst now we're all kind of looking past Curse City at what's coming next. And I know a lot of the time we're always quite looking forward to the next bit, but it does feel like we're kind of jumping past Curse City a lot more than we normally would, perhaps.
I think that's just because of the releases, right? Like, and I think that they've tied themselves into this reveal release schedule. If that makes sense.
I think that's how they're wanting to kind of maintain some level of a kind of in real life hype train almost. Because normally they do that just by having every week there being something new that you're on this kind of trudge of just like it's like the epic walk from the Shire all the way to Mount Doom every week. You're on the next stop, and there's yet another 5 kits.
Well, if I was a cynical man, or a realist, neither of which I am. I'm just a damn optimist with a head full of dreams, and a heart full of emotions. The fact that the community site gets a swath of hits on a monthly basis because of the reveal shows, and that probably directly ties to someone's performance review at the end of the year.
There you go.
Like, I'm not that guy to suggest that it's anything that Machiavellian, but those
I'll take the hit. It is. Totally is.
New stuff has been revealed for over a month that hasn't been released yet, says Angle. Yeah, I think that's super true. Heaven forfend.
Some of the Forge World stuff was revealed like 10, 11 months ago. Some of the corn stuff, was it World Eaters?
Yeah.
And that's still not been released, so Forge World are even more fucked.
But that's how you get those hits, baby. That's how you get those hits on that website. So, personally, I think that that's one of the reasons we're seeing the reveals, but that doesn't really matter what the impetus behind it is, because we get to see some cool new stuff. Personally, Go on.
I like the structure, that each month we know we're going to get a little bit of a kind of here you go, rather than it being this whole kind of will we see something come up?
I
It
don't know,
feels like
man.
at least we've
Like
got some structure.
I would be like way more keen. I think way more keen to like truly sit down and listen if they didn't have like much love to Eddie and Adam, right? Like that's not what this is. I'm not here to bash them. That's not the point.
No,
But I'd
no,
be
no.
like I'd be so hype if like a designer, either the rules or like the miniatures or even the lore, just sat down for like an hour and was like, here's a new race, or here's how we reimagine, or like if you had a bunch of each one, right? Like a designer, a lore guy, and then the rules guy, and then they just took you through, like, they show us the Gravelord stuff, and they're like, look, this is like what we thought, this is where we've gone, here's some cool tidbits, here's some fun story, this is one of the design. At one point we thought we were going to call them the Rubeneth, but we didn't, and you're like, brilliant. You know, like any of those fun bits that you can take away, I would love that. That would be really insightful, be something I'd be super like jazzed to tune into, rather than like what it is, which I don't think is done particularly well.
No. And they do that content, but they just hide it away, not in the reveals, but they tend to do it then after the fact in the Voxcast and the Stormcast or whatever it's called. And it's literally no one notices it's there. Like when they did the AdMech last update, they had who was it? They had a designer and a rules designer sat just chatting through it was Jez Goodwin and Darren Latham just sitting chatting through the process, and it was fascinating. But if they'd done that on the day of releasing the models, I would have been so hyped because I'd have been going, and there's this bit to it, and then I would have gone out and probably wanted to buy stuff. But because that was done after the fact and hidden in a podcast that no one really spots, it's just lost, and that's such great content. Much better than here's a box.
Here's a box.
I do.
I mean, it's still exciting. I mean, it takes less work to do just here's the box, right? So, like, I understand their vibe, and I feel it. One of the things that actually gives me loads of hobby hype, just talking about it for a moment, is actually having a lot of the Black Library authors on Twitter. Right?
Yes.
So, like, I follow a bunch of the Black Library authors on Twitter. That's simple, right? And they're so enthusiastic about their work. They're so passionate, like, or they're passionate about other people's work. You know, I see them, like, jumping into conversations about stuff. I see them sharing things about other stuff. They just feel like real people who just, like, are just artists who they just love what they love. And then sometimes they're like, this game's out and I hate it. Or they're like, this thing looks awesome. I'm really excited about it. Yeah. And, like, it gives me loads of hobby hype at the minute. Like, following some of those, especially, like, ADB. That gives me a load of hype watching ADB stuff. But, like, not watching his stuff, but just engaging with those designers because you feel like you're slightly closer to the art. I think that's one of the other things about having, like, the company representatives as opposed to the actual designers or anything, is you don't feel quite as close to the product in of itself. Like, and it's such a strange world also. Like, I get it. We don't hear about the guy who designs the current iPhone, not this one guy or even a guy, but, like, but we do get to have, like, we have very real conversations now with, like, even really big artists, you know, who create stuff. Like, it's a very modern way that we all absorb content nowadays. It's like the creators really talk directly to the audience a lot of the time. And to skip that step, which is so important on such, like, a heavy thing, seems like a missed opportunity. That's what I'm going to say. Yeah.
And it's not a unique thing. When you look at, say, TV or films, when they're promoting that new film or TV program's out, what do they do with the actors? They throw them onto chat shows. They get them talking about it. And that's exactly the same thing. And it just feels like such an obvious thing that's been done in other kind of industries for so long. It feels a missed opportunity, perhaps.
Who's the lady who did Catching Fire? Katniss Everdeen. Is it Kristen Stewart?
No, I'm blanking her name now as well. Oh God,
she's hilarious on those.
The one that was Mystique. Yeah.
Oh, she's hilarious on all of those. Really funny.
Jennifer Lawrence. There you go. Colonel Cabbage knows all the names.
Yeah, she's really funny on those.
You get her on there, and it gets you hyped to watch a film because you're just going, this lady's charming.
Yeah,
and she's funny. Likeable. And then you go, let's see this film, and then you really empathise with the character because you've seen her specifically on the program.
Yeah. Agreed. Although that said, like you can't expect these artists to be to be necessarily like very communicative. However, like their passion will be, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Great example. When they get Phil Kelly on, I can't get enough of that.
Oh my God, turn that motherfucker up to 11.
I'm literally like, where is he?
Let's go, Phil. Let's go, Phil. And if anything, by the way, having worked with him closely for a few years, like he's exactly the same as he's exactly the same in real life. He's just a genuinely amazing dude, which is super lovely. Super lovely. Also loves Babylon 5, so he's like an 11 out of 10 person in my book, which is how you play it. So have we missed any of the game systems, John?
Just those 4. So Necromunda is, I think, because it's meant to be on their schedule for Necromunda as well. It's meant to be each quarter you get a new book of, and then insert word. It's meant to be Cawdor's time. The Redemptionists are kind of the more extreme version of Cawdor because they're all part of the sort of Imperium cult. So it makes sense that if they're going to have extra models, like the Goliath's got the big bruiser dudes, and the Escher got ladies with bows, it makes sense for the Redemptionists to be put in there because then it's not a whole new gang, or it can be used as a whole gang, but it gives the players the choice. So I feel like that's what they're doing for that one. Because that's Damnation.
Necromunda seems like such an amazingly impenetrable, awesome thing.
It is. It's so fun, but at the same time, you need to almost have a DM to stop people from abusing the game because would you say
that you could? Like, this is a question for anyone who does play Necromunda, because I have played it the one time. I spent ages on it. I had a really bad experience with Necromunda that I spent ages on, like creating a big narrative gang, and one of my mates just min-maxed the game, and it was super rubbish. And again, that really points me to whenever I have the conversation about comp, or I have the conversation about Games Workshop rules not being good enough, I always refer to myself in several different situations where I have doughy-eyed run into one of their game systems trying to have fun and then have been smashed.
That was that 1 in 100 chance, well, probably 1 in 10 chance of that happening.
I think it's
like
common.
I think it's like any of those. It's the bad experience that doesn't take much, I think. And one thing we haven't touched on actually for 40k, the preview image has the Bone Reaper skeleton bowman dude. In the middle, it's the Skitarii Prime, which is the new character that they revealed on the 9th edition launch. I do have one theory behind that we might see more non-Skitarii stuff.
Oh, what you think we might see that? I think we're going to see Mechanicum. I think Mechanicum is 100%.
Not just him. I think we might see some different bits because I read the first short story in the Black Library Celebration book yesterday out of boredom. Yeah. Because apparently I needed a break from a screen, and it's got a character that's basically Belisarius Caul's right-hand man, who's basically in ceramite armor and a big murder bot thing. Sounded terrifying, but there isn't a model of something like that, so maybe we'll see something along those lines as well.
Yeah. I'd like to.
There's a lot of stuff that they throw in. So
yeah, okay, yeah. No, I think so. If you look at the release from Engine War, I feel like that was half a release.
Yes.
Like I feel like it was half a release of like it felt weird, right? There were like some transports, but also a flyer and some dogs. You're like, oh, okay. Interested. Where's the other half of this release? Because there's definitely another half of this release somewhere along the line, and I think that's going to come in this book, right?
Because what are they missing? What unit-wise at the moment? Kind of role-wise, they've got flyers, they've got transports, they've got a tank, they've got the hover tank and the dune crawlers.
Let me just think what they need. I think I've cracked it. All of the fucking Forge World data sheets, John. That's what they're fucking missing. Yeah.
So what you're telling me is they're going to make plastic versions of things that look very similar but different enough to the Forge World things, and then replace them.
I've talked about this before. I hate the Citadel version of the Mechanicum stuff, apart from the Skitarii. I think the Skitarii are mint. But yeah, like so Myrmidons, you don't have those in 40k at the minute. In 40k, Myrmidons are like badass tech priests. They're so cool, and Myrmidon destroyers, like I love them. You don't have any of like the Tagmata stuff, so you don't have like Vorax, you don't have drones, you don't have any of the Castellans, you don't have the big boys, you don't have the
You've only got Secutarii, Hoplites, and Peltasts.
Yeah, we want Chris seeing in the chat, big love. I want all of the, I want see that's what I want. I want all Thanatars. Thank you, Gus the Hutt. Thanatars. I want all of that That's what they're missing. So doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Never mind.
it feels like at the moment they've got that Age of Sigmar style problem of, I say problem, they've got a very limited HQ slot thing as well. At the moment, you've got Dominus or a Tech Priest or Call. That's it as well. So the Prime helps fix that by adding, that's almost an extra, that's making it 5 characters.
Do you know what? Just quick side note. You could do hilarious kind of like slapstick comedy AdMech TV show, like where like all the robots are always going wrong all the time, and you've got like basically maybe you just do like a couple of low-level tech priests who are just constantly having to fix stuff that kind of goes wrong, and it's always a bit like a couple of explosions. Like there's a great TV show there I want to point out. Probably got the guy that played Dave Lister from Red Dwarf in, and also Mr. Bean. I don't know. Like, that's a weird mix, I get it, but that's what I'm pitching as a TV show.
That's a very British version, which I suppose kind of fits for Games Workshop.
Faulty Mechanicum Towers is exactly what I want. Yeah. I think just building the weapon loadouts you think look cool and varied is the way to go once you read the rules. Oh, wait, what's Gus the Hutt saying? I don't know what it was. Something. Necromunda is very easy to power game, but it kind of defeats the point of the game if you do, says Gus the Hutt. So that's what I wanted to come back to, actually, talking about Necromunda. We talk a lot about D&D. Well, we don't talk a lot about D&D. The world talks a lot about D&D, and generally how best to DM D&D, all of that. I haven't played much D&D, so I'm going to be talking out my depth here. I know John has more than me, and other people have, so here's me pitching in. Would you say, and is it arguable, and would it be a good idea, that you could actually D&D, like, if you were just like, right, I want to get my mates together, but instead of doing D&D, I'm going to D&D Necromunda. Like, if you learnt the game well enough that you could just manage a group, do you think, having played D&D and Necromunda, John, that would be like an uptick on the general whole vibe?
Yes, entirely that. I can't remember what the term is for it, but there is in the Necromunda books.
Horses. Sorry, hold on. Only Calls and Horses is the name of our slapstick show, by the way.
Well, actually, I think Gitley's "Are You Being Servitor" is better.
Like Only Calls and Horses. Okay. Sorry, go on.
There is a basically, I think it's an arbiter, the person that is essentially the DM that runs your campaign.
Right.
And to me, I think it's like anything, like the way that D&D works and the way that Necromunda works are exactly the same. It's like when you're making organizing a game of 40k. You say to your opponent what sort of game you want to play. I think the same applies to when you're running D&D campaign or a Necromunda campaign. You go, what do we all want to get out of this? Is this us all just min-maxing and making it really cutthroat, or are we wanting to tell some cool stories? And at that point, you have that discussion, and then someone, like if one of your players turns up with a really whack kind of almost like a tournament level, which I know there's not Necromunda tournaments, but that kind of thing where it just literally just can roll over anyone. It's that discussion you can then say to them, well, actually, you're not playing in the spirit of the campaign. Please change this all, and then you can play again. And I think that's the way that game has to work. You have to have people held to account if they're not playing in the spirit of how everyone else wants to play.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's a game that everyone loses, really, because you have times where you have a bit of bad luck and suddenly 3 of your gangers are all missing eyes, and it's hilarious, and it's how you then respond to that.
Yeah, like absolutely. Like I got no issue with like losing, but like when it like so my singular experience was just felt like similarly when I went to a heresy event. I've talked about this loads, and I went with some knights. New to the hobby pretty much, had no clue, didn't really research anything, took some knights, and then everyone was pissed at me. They're like, can't believe you brought 5 knights to an event. And I was like, what the fuck, man? Like, these are cool. Who doesn't want giant robots? And they got pissy. So, like... There's almost an unwritten kind of rule of, like, there's a limit on how many people can take full custodian armies and heresy and stuff like that. I wouldn't know that if I was going into an event completely new, so it doesn't surprise me. Yeah, right. So, like, my point is with lockdown coming out, you know,
Easing
lockdown
slowly,
being so
maybe.
last year. Like when we get all out of our lockdown phase that we're all going through, it's a bit like listening to My Chemical Romance, but hopefully we get out of this.
Never.
We never get out of
it.
the My Chemical Romance phase. That's correct. Evanescence for life. The point is...
Brings me to life, mate.
Cool Run-Ins is also good as a movie. That's the movie after the show. That's the movie after the show.
Oh, you're going to have a tech priest Dominus that is John Candy because we need to have him back. Oh.
Oh, okay. Right. My point is, because also we've got the venue now, and when we're not doing events, I was thinking what I could do to service the local community. And like whether or not I should do like a club night, and also you've got amazing places like the Bad Moon Cafe as an example, like where I know they do D&D nights, but I wonder if you got like a couple of if you got all of the gangs basically painted up, basically you could run people through Necromunda campaigns. You could be the DM, and I thought that would be a really fun experience for groups of people, right? But it also is like a sideways way of getting them into mini wargaming, not the not the channel, but by the way, apparently they do this. They already do this. This is something they do as a YouTube thing. But I'm less talking about it as content and more for you guys at home.
And the other obstacle a lot of the time for something like Necromunda is the terrain. Like there's two ways to play that game. One is with corridors, which generally is a cardboard mat, or 3D terrain. And that 3D terrain is not easy to just build, paint, and get ready. So if you've got that as a thing in the venue, it's a great selling point for people that want to come and play some Necromunda.
Oh, yeah, honestly,
Established players would want to
because I think the setting is incredible. Like the point about the setting,
best.
like it ties in super well with like an already like popular vibe, that cyberpunk vibe, which is so popular right now. Post-apocalypse stuff has always been really good. Like people always kind of jones on that. What are you laughing at?
Gitley saying the theme tune for the program would be "Call Me Maybe" by Carly Rae Jepsen. Oh, it's too much.
Yeah, and Owen, and with the rise of the 3D printed terrain, you could design some amazing spaces to play those campaigns in. I just think that one of the things that I was never able, this is a me thing, one of the things I was never able to do because I clearly lack imagination, I was never able to do D&D because there wasn't something for me to like visually kind of like key in with when I was watching it. And that's what I really like about miniatures gaming, is that I get to... it's so hard not to say mini wargaming. That's what I like about mini wargaming. So
just say miniature wargaming. Tabletop wargaming.
You guys have nailed it, haven't they? We really should have come up with like the dice gamer or something. Like it doesn't work. The dice roller. There are few things more awesome to a wargame than a complex multi-level Necromunda board, says Angle. Has everyone seen Necromunda Hired Gun trailer? Yeah, that was going to tie me into the... Have you seen the trailer for the Hired Gun video, John?
It's got me apprehensively excited, because to me, when they did the previous Necromunda game that was like a gang thing, it was basically the Mordheim game reskinned for Necromunda, and it didn't really do it for me. It's like, if it's going to be close enough to Necromunda, I want it to be a simulation, or not at all, and just be in the universe. And so this being like a shoot 'em up sounds exactly what I'd want for a Necromunda game.
Yeah, I played that. Me and Mum played the actual Necromunda game, and it was just so laggy and just wasn't very fun. Yeah. Ultimately, it's kind of similar enough to the actual Necromunda game, but not enough that you're like, I just want all the depth, but it's not there. So yeah. I think it's a really fun thing. Yes, I think I would say that it would be one of the games that I would like to. I would like it to be my side game. I've always toyed is it going to be Blood Bowl? Is it going to be Necromunda? Like, what's my side game going to be? And I feel like that would be my side game, where you just blow off steam and you just, because I think creating those stories and even creating those minis with those stories is such an exciting thing that you can do. Yeah. You could do it with the main game as well. I go back to thinking about me hosting the narrative. So when I set Warhammer Live, we would do a narrative game and a competitive game on a Wednesday for Age of Sigmar, and then same on the Friday for 40k. And then the guys the guys that were involved were super motivated to make sure that they carried the story on every week, which was awesome because we had Peachy and Rob Crouchley. And then they would we would like talk about the story before they started playing the game, and then they would like do some sort of story, and then I would like commentate about it, and it would just be this fun adventure, and it was awesome. And I'd love to see more of that generally, but it does require someone to do the work. It's kind of the key point, right?
So that also, in that kind of in the spirit of how you do that with Necromunda, you can do that with 40k, but it's that horrible thing that you don't like me to talk about. You can do that with Crusade, but it is a very different style of game. It is essentially like playing a side game.
What, Crusade?
So you can do that with a Crusade with your 40k stuff, but it becomes different enough that you also need to kind of rein in how you approach that, because if you bring, I found this when I turned up to my first Crusade game, and I brought, this was before the Dark Angels Codex, but just that compared to 1,000 points of Orcs, it was a whitewash, and it was dreadful. It was so horrible to play because I felt like I was just clubbing.
Yeah, you was beating up on someone, and like it was the game that allowed it. I do feel like I will criticize the game developers a lot, and will say that the fact that it does require so much comp to a degree for it to be functionally balanced to some end. Not that it's like meant to be, because it does make sense. Like if in some like actual Underhive, one gang got more dominant than another gang, like that's life, right? That's how things work. Like I get it,
and it's fun to play because I liked it where I was middle of the pack in my campaign, so I was always doing all right. I had enough good gear that I could hold my own, but I was always on the back foot, and it was this nice challenge.
Agreed. Face to Bases worked lunch today. Just pop and say hi and admire the train. John smashed it with the new Robin remote. He did a great job. So, and this is, by the way, the train I'm currently working on. If anyone's interested, for my crystal board, there you go.
Love it.
I think I'm probably going to go find a spray. This is taking a little bit too long, if I'm 100% honest, to colour match with this. So finding a spray, but but it's going to look sweet. And this is only one of 8 pieces. Although this is a large piece of terrain. So I've got 2 sizes, large and medium, or standard and large. Is probably an easy way to describe it. But yeah, that's looking pretty sweet, eh, John? I think I'm going to... I'm looking forward to this, getting it all sorted. Right.
Got one last thing to touch on, Rob.
Oh, yeah, go on.
On the silhouettes, the left-hand one, I'm more and more convinced that is a Deepkin model.
It is. It's a Fishkin model.
Yeah.
It's actually one of the true things of every Age of Sigmar release, actually, John, which most people don't know, is every Age of Sigmar release in some way benefits Idoneth Deepkin. It's the truest thing. It's the truest thing that's ever been true. Like, if anyone, like, absolutely everything that ever happened in some way benefits Deepkin, and we're not sure why. We're not sure why. I think just the guys watched Free Willy as a kid, and they were like, they've still got that in their head, and it's like they're super motivated. Deepkin
they've got a pattern now with the Underworlds where they're going, here's the new warband, and we're going to show you we're going to preview one model of the next one. Like they did it to start with Seraphon, where they showed us the Chameleon Skink. They then did the same with the vampires, and they've slowly been doing it each time for like the last 6 to 8 months. So this, I think on the roadmap, it is Deepkin next. So they're making themselves very consistent with it.
Yeah, I think, I mean, who doesn't root for an underdog as well? But yeah, I think getting more eel stuff is going to be fun. Like, and also another range that's got a limited amount of stuff and it can go everywhere. Having looked at some of the aquatic themed ranges coming from miniatures designers like Archvillain and Cast and Play over the past 2 months, those are 2 different designers who have done like a month's worth of releases of like aquatic themed stuff. There's so much that you can explore. Coral swords, like Merowins, like octopus. There's so many. Like they've got all the sea. They've got all the sea. Basically, it's the sea theme. So that range could be massive eventually, right? Yeah.
Well, has it got similar to Iron Jaws? It's not got many, has it? Kit wise.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Like the eels are one or the other. The shark is one. There's the Eidolon who's one or the other. There's the turtle, and then there's the thralls. And then the
Bowman guys as well.
The Reavers, yeah. But I mean,
everyone forgets. They're two separate kits, though, Rob. That surprised me because I accidentally bought some Reavers when I wanted Thralls.
Yeah, it's gonna be good. I actually think the Idoneth Deepkin is probably one of the ranges that can get the most new releases, and doesn't trigger me because like I think there's so many creative ways that they can push that out. Really push the boat out, John. Really make waves.
Yeah. And it would be really nice to give people an option to not just bring eels. I think that'd be refreshing for everyone.
Oh,
if we
no,
saw
there
less
is options
eels.
now. Sharks and turtles are brilliant. Eidolon's
Yeah,
brilliant.
but outside of that, it becomes very much. There's still only like a handful of variations because of the limited amount of units, right?
Stingrays. Well, how good would stingrays be? They would look amazing.
Catfish. I just want a really ugly catfish.
Goldfish. Yeah, 100%. Hammerhead sharks.
A big
sorts.
goldfish.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure predicting what's happening tomorrow. So thank you to you guys for tuning in. John, thanks for being on the show.
Pleasure as always. I love being on because it's just nice to catch up actually and chat rather than just shouting at the screen when you're on instead, which apparently doesn't work. I've tried. It really doesn't work.
It does work. I just ignore it actually, which is a super weird way for it to go. It's like I hear it, I just ignore it. Let's go raid someone. Let's go do that. Let's go make someone's day, which is always the most fun.
I love it, man.
Should we go raid Glorious Badger? Because he's painting an awesome Beasts of Nurgle, which looks really nice.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
yes.
Let's go do that. Let's do that. Listen, everyone, thanks for listening. Don't forget we're live from 12 until 4 tomorrow for the reveal stream, so we'll be live all day. Also, Sunday we're live 12 till 10 with a whole host of guests hanging out and doing the big birthday thing. So it's been a really fun chat. Thank you. Thank you for being hilarious, Twitch chat. Thanks to everyone who listens to the podcast. Thanks to everyone who listens back on YouTube. And thank you to everyone on Patreon. You guys are great. Right, let's go do this raiding thing. John, you got any shout-outs while I try and do this?
Can I shout out to... Ooh, let's think. Shout out to Nikos.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because I'm going to miss seeing him tomorrow. Because he's not going to be there tomorrow, and it breaks my heart.
He's not.
I could have coped if you weren't there or Tom wasn't there, but without Nikos, I just feel empty inside.
True. All right, guys, we're going to go for this raid now. Thanks for listening and tuning in. You guys are great.
Yeah.
We'll see you soon.